Presentation Committee. We're going to have 4 students now come up and talk about the criteria we set in order to select our 4 finalists. And the first of the 4 will be Doug Larkins.
Good evening. My name is Doug Larkins. The book that we read for the Oregon Coast Literary Award had to meet all of our criteria in order to be picked for the top 10. Their criteria was split into 4 different categories, including relatable and realistic, rich and vivid language, consistent, and captivating. I'm here to explain relatable and realistic. As a part of our election process, these books had to have some sort of form of being realistic or relatable. All the books had some sort of issue or problem that a person can relate to. One example is the novel Tiny Beautiful Things. This book is unlike any other books we read for the award. It included everyday problems that we faced, like losing a loved one, or maybe simply making a hard decision. Our top finalist selections really stood out with these criteria. In conclusion, each book had its own way of being realistic and relatable.
Consistency criterion, the finalist must have a consistent flow, language, and format. It also means that the other criteria need to be met from beginning to end, keeping the book fluid and preventing the readers from becoming confused and distracted. Think of a book as a road, and every error in breaking consistency, whether it be in a character's history or in a sudden flashback, as a pothole. It disrupts the peacefulness of your journey, and a book that meets this criterion is like fresh pavement. The flash forwards in Catherine Dunn's Geek Love, the use of Cheryl Strayed's personal experiences in her responses in her book Tiny Beautiful Things, and the movement between each of the characters' inner monologues in Ursula Le Guin's The Lake of Heaven exist only to enrich the stories. And as they fulfill their purpose, they successfully meet the standards of this and all other criteria presented here tonight.
As a compelling book that holds the reader's attention throughout and draws the reader into that world. To me, a captivating book is something I don't want to put down and has all 4 of our criteria. The author writes in a way that makes me curious and keeps me intrigued throughout the story. I'd like to share an example from the book Tiny Beautiful Things. I found this passage captivating because it is something that I can apply to my life as a graduating senior. Just close your eyes and remember everything you already know. Let whatever mysterious starlight that guided you this far guide you onward into whatever crazy beauty awaits. Trust that all you learned during your college years was worth learning, no matter what answer you have or do not have about what use it is. Know that all those stories, poems, plays, and novels are a part of you now, and that they are bigger than you, and they will always be.
Hello, I'm Ryan Postwaite. Another criterion for this event is vivid, rich language. This means the book we chose must use language that creates a strong image and works well with the story. This is not restricted to figurative language and could include strong imagery, sentence fluency, and word choice. An example from Cheryl Strayed's book, Tiny Beautiful Things, would be the way she responds to the people that writes to her. Since she remains anonymous, she depends on her words, not her resume, to create an entire personality known as Sugar.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Osterland. For the 2013 Oregon Coast Literary Award, we had 4 finalists. Each of these books fit the criteria in that they were realistic and relatable, consistent, captivating, and vivid and rich in language. The 4 finalists were The Sisters Brothers by Patrick DeWitt, Geek Love by Catherine Dunn, The Lake of Heaven by Ursula Le Guin, and Tiny Beautiful Things by Cheryl Strayed. The Sisters Brothers by Patrick DeWitt is a novel set in Western times and focuses on sibling rivalry. The 2 main characters, Eli and Charlie sisters, who are hired as hitmen. They are assigned to travel and kill people that have scammed their boss. This book shows the differences between the 2 brothers and shares the direction that the brothers wish to go. Geek Love by Catherine Dunn is a tale told by Olympia, a young girl who grows up in a traveling circus with her family. Her family is known as the Freaks. It discusses unconditional love, taking pride in yourself, and the corruption of power amongst charismatic leaders. The Lay of the Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin is a novel about a man named George Orr who is diagnosed as clinically insane. He has the ability to alter reality through his dreams. After a drug overdose, he is sent to a dream specialist, Dr. Haber, who realizes his ability. The specialist begins to alter his dreams to create a world to benefit himself. George struggles with this because he believes that it is wrong to alter reality. Throughout the novel, he has to gain courage to face his fear of confronting his dream specialist, Dr. Haber. Tiny Beautiful Things by Cheryl Strayed is a book of letters that are written to Strayed's Elias Sugar. It also includes Sugar's responses to those letters. People share these stories with her that are very deep and very personal, and Strayed responds with her anecdotes and her advice in order to best help the people who wrote the letters. Our first speaker is Teresa Paul, talking about Geek Love by Catherine Dunn.
Geek Love by Catherine Dunn not only was a wonderful book, but soared above the OCLA expectations. I found myself captivated by the main character. Olympia's struggle to stay weird in a world where she was surrounded by the word normal. The surreal circumstances of her birth makes it difficult to find anything relatable to the story, but despite being brought up in a family circus, the bonds of a traditional family are still there, and it's easy to find relatability among the characters' thoughts and feelings. Catherine Dunn uses her language perfectly, especially for the complex story. One of my favorite quotes from the story is when Olympia's sisters, the Siamese twins, explains her love for a normal boy. He started to love me, you see. He was so pure, like that leaf against the sky. I don't mean he was naive or innocent or a virgin or even a virtuous boy, though he was nice, but that he was purely, from tip to toe, from nose to tail, absolutely what he was. That was normal, with a big N. That was what I loved. But when the look in his eye changed, I realized if there's one thing a healthy, beautiful, utterly normal boy does not do, it's fall in love with a half a pair of Siamese twins.
Hi, I'm Ashley Gasner. I found Geek Love to be a fantastic book, but it did not meet each piece of criteria to its fullest potential. The only piece of criteria Geek Love didn't meet, at least for some people, was the aspect of relatability. Among the tearing of chicken heads and a troubled family circus, it is hard to find anything even remotely relatable in the story. Though it is a great book and many students were able to suspend their disbelief for the course of the novel, it is not the best fit for this year's Oregon Coast Literary Award.
My name is Jessica Olson, and I am speaking on behalf of the novel The Sisters Brothers. The Sisters Brothers is a Western novel that contains an astounding twist. Eli and Charlie's sisters are killers for hire, working for a man known as the Commodore. The novel begins on a journey to what they believe is a simple job in San Francisco. Each and every page of this novel is not only what happens while on their quests, but also what happens between the brothers inside and out. This novel is relatable because of the sibling rivalry influence and them potentially parting ways because of their differences. Consistency was key to this novel because it follows the brothers on their journey. Mr. DeWitt's writing connected to history and culture with imagination and creativity. The Sisters Brothers was fully captivating and intriguing, all while presenting very vivid, rich language. This novel is well put together and has a storyline truly deserving to be a finalist for the Oregon Coast Literary Award. I highly recommend this story to all.
Good evening. My name is Adrian Velasquez. Although the Sisters Brothers meet most of the criteria for OCLA, there was one area that needs to be considered. The writing in the Sisters Brothers remains consistent. However, as a work of historical fiction, there could have been more research completed about Oregon and Northern California during the gold rush. In interviews, Mr. DeWitt has mentioned that he did very little research regarding this time period. Instead, he was inspired by photos of the Old West and used those as some of the settings throughout his novel. This worked well for him, as the character of Charlie's sister could be easily compared to Clint Eastwood in a spaghetti western. Despite the lack of historical research, we felt this book deserves its spot as an OCLA finalist.
My name is Maddie Villegas. The Lathe of Heaven tells the story of George Orr's ability to alter reality through his dreams, and how George handles his doctor's intention to manipulate his dreams, creating his own utopian world. Lathe of Heaven is beyond relatable. You can connect to George's consciousness of his ability, and his dream specialist, Dr. Haber's appeal for a greater good.